All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Cloud9 coaching staff roundtable. Obviously, this has been one of the most hyped coaching staffs that's ever happened in the West that's ever came together. I don't remember the last time where a coaching staff announcement was number one on Reddit and had as many comments as this announcement right here. So the first thing that I'd like to do is just go around, probably starting with Max here, and get a little bit of information on obviously what your role is within the team, like what your position will be, but mainly how you came to join C9. So Max, go ahead and explain how you got here.
Yeah, so I guess we can go back because we can cover a lot pretty quickly. In 2017, I was playing professionally at 100 Thieves Academy. That lasted about a split, and then I ended up going to Korea for 2 years, where I spent a lot of time with LS. And this is where I began coaching from 2018 onwards. During that time, in 2019, I spent some time with BBQ Olivers in Challenger Series Korea, coaching with LS. And then back to 2020 June is when I came back to America. I actually played a competitive set. I played with 100 Next against Maryville in one of their amateur series. So I had some competitive experience after I came back to NA. LS was talking publicly on his stream and on Twitter and stuff, trying to get me to talk to teams because he thought I was really valuable. So I did end up getting a lot of offers in the offseason. Cloud9 just easily the best offer. The most structure and how they operate, and all around it seemed to be the org that had I guess the least problems, because it seems like that's how it really goes with NA, is you pick the org with the least problems. The other orgs that I seem to talk to seem to have just systemic issues that weren't really going to get fixed. So it seems to just scare a lot of people away, but Cloud9's definitely on the upper end of this, where it seems like they're, if anything, functional. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, did you have an idea of what the coaching staff would be, or who you'd be working with when you decided to go with C9, or did you just enjoy the structure that was in place already?
So yeah, of course I enjoyed that, of how they operated and how they typically handled themselves. I knew of a couple people. I knew Vigar V2. I knew Rainover. I knew Westrice. I don't think I knew of Mithy yet. Is there anyone else I'm missing? I knew Tails. Almost everyone. Maybe the only person who came after me was Mithy.
Awesome. Well, I mean that's valuable. How do you think the teachings of LS will integrate into being a coach? I mean, obviously he's known for really strong opinions, and people have said that you share a lot of those hardcore opinions about the game. Do you think that will be something that you think will be really valuable, or do you think it could create issues if people see the game differently? How do you mold that into a team environment?
So of course you account for these things. I'm not gonna walk into a team and go crazy and be you gotta freeze every wave, dude. I think that's a little overboard. So we start with just talking about laning. Because the way that LS, for example, reached these conclusions about how you should play the game as it goes into mid and late game, when he talks about mid and late game freezing, these conclusions come from fundamental ideas about the game very early on. So how you begin to integrate these ideas are just talking about more efficient ways to play early game and to play laning phases, and to think about how champions interact with each other. So no, I don't think that the opinions are so crazy, or that these conclusions are so crazy, because they just come from very fundamental understandings about the game that I think any reasonable person can come to themselves by asking themselves a couple questions.
Sounds good. All right, let's move on here. So Westrice, you're going to be in charge of the academy team head coach. You've obviously been with C9 for a while, but how did you arrive at this position?
Okay, yeah, so this goes back to 2017. I'm pretty close to my 4th year at Cloud9. So rewinding back to 2017, I was just in college. I retired from pro play. It was I just finished my my split, I guess, with COG B team, and that was pretty much when I called it. It's okay, I don't want to play pro anymore. I just lost all my motivation completely to play pro again. And then so I went to school for a year, and I was a substitute for Cloud9 with Sneaky, Jensen, Impacts, Mithy, and Contracts. I was just a sub, but they needed to bring a sub to Rift Rivals, which is in Berlin. And so I wasn't getting paid or anything, but it like I feel like I could use a vacation, so I went there to just be like their sixth player. And I'm just like sitting in the room. I'm just giving feedback to the players, like making friends with them. And then Reaper liked what I was doing, and he felt like I was getting along with the players, so he just came with a job offer. It's like, hey, after Berlin is over, like, what do you think about taking on the assistant coach position? And then that was like very surprising to me because like I've never coached before, so like I've only coached like solo queue players, but I've never actually coached in like a team environment, So that was just pretty much like the whole start of it. And I like after like a year of being assistant coach, I felt like I actually couldn't learn that much. So I asked to go down into academy so I can like develop my own techniques and like my own way of coaching and something that I feel like just like did like develop my own way of coaching pretty much. And I felt like that was like one of the best things that I've ever did was going down to the academy and like finding my identity and it's just like throwing myself into the jungle and like figuring out how to like um, how I really want to coach these players. And like the thing that I valued the most about myself was I really like helping players reach their goals. I really enjoy helping young players, like give them direction and help them reach their goals, and I'll be there to help them reach their goals with them because I feel like for me, I'm able to like empathize with these players because I felt like I've pretty much been through everything. I've like felt every feeling when I was a pro player. Like I've had some really bad moments when I was a pro player and like really ups and downs. And I feel like I can relate to all these situations with these players, so it's just much easier for me to feel just like show what it's like to be in these players' shoes. And um,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a big strength of I think that being a pro player obviously gives you a lot of rapport with players right off the bat because they know that you've actually like been through what they've went through before, and the fact that you had an LCS career, I think definitely uh, just helps you relate to these players on a level that maybe others couldn't. The one thing I guess I would ask you that I'm just interested in is what do you think that your coaching identity is like inside the game? Do you have any like certain things that you really like value about the way that you see the game and how you plan on like getting these players to the next level?
yeah, so I think the thing that I pretty much kind of like live by is uh, I believe that versatility is like the key factor to being a top team. And when I say that is uh, my favorite team in the past has been G2, and the reason being is because they can do everything. They can play any playstyle. They can do something very unexpected in draft, and they can play almost any way that they want. And they're just so unpredictable, and you can't really prepare for them, and they're comfortable doing anything. And I feel like that's what makes like a top team in the world. I'm also gonna take Blabber for example. Blabber, um, like this guy can do like anything. He can play safe. He can play very aggressive, and he can play almost any champion. And like the biggest thing about that is that he's very unpredictable. Like he doesn't follow the rules. He does what he feels like he's good at. He understands the meta, but then he creates his own meta on top of that. So he's not like a follower. Like he like leads his own way of like playing the game. And I feel like every player on our team should be able to do that as well, or like should reach for that goal.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Well, I guess it makes sense to go to the next guy who had a huge influence within G2. Obviously, Mithy here didn't play within the 2019-2020 roster,
Yeah.
but Perkz has always said that you Mithy, you gave a lot of structure to that team, and the things that you were able to teach him he was able to carry on to other players, and you helped build the culture within that team, the unique macro and things that the team has been known for in 2019 and 2020. I would just love to know your story. I mean, you're head coaching Fnatic, went to quarterfinals of the Worlds last year. Now you're with C9. You're reunited with your friends Sven and Perkz. So how did you end up in the situation with C9? I think a lot of people are interested in your story and your journey to get here.
Well, hello. First of all, well, first thing for me was like I've always had a relationship with C9. I was actually part of that a little bit, well, not really part of it, but just like at Worlds, I was working a little bit with Westrice also. And yeah, we sort of got to know each other. I got to know Reaper at the time and the team and just C9 in general. And it felt like a nice place to work on. And I think ever since then, I've been in talks with C9. So it was my go-to place if I ever were to take the jump to North America again. And yeah, so that was the main thing for me. So the fact that Perkz and Sven were here, I mean, I was the first person to tell Sven, hey man, you should give C9 a shot. Definitely is a different culture than TSM was, and you know, NA is not as bad as you think, and so on. So we've been talking about you know, C9 for a while, and I mean, it just happened to be that this was the right time for us to sort of connect together again. So it's been great. You know, it's been a lucky charm, I'd say. And then in terms of my own experience and my philosophy in terms of coaching, I think for G2 it was more about creating a culture that how to say, sort of just like understood the game at its core, like how we were supposed to, like how we felt the game was supposed to be played, and how we can make the best out of the situations that we're put in. Even though we would not understand, or we would not be capable of playing a certain way, we would understand how that certain way plays, and I think those tools then helped them develop into the team they were, because of, you know, the ability of being able to do many things because of how gifted their players were. Other than that, I think the other part of the culture was more on the personal side, just creating strong bonds with each other so that the feedback can be like good and personal and direct, and that you're able to, you know, kind of like cross the bridge and say things that might be hard on the other person but are for the better of the team.
So the
or that you
culture
can
of
go
open feedback, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's more about for each individual that they go out of their way to get the opinion across, and go out of the way to get the opinion out of someone else. So if someone is being quiet, or if you just have a big argument with someone, which happens, that you then go after and talk to the person and apologize to them, or, you know, sort of try to find a middle ground of like, hey man, you know, sorry I raised my voice here, sorry I screwed up by saying this, you know, it wasn't my intention. But you sort of connect to the person on a personal level, and make sure that you are connected, because that connection translates to the game after that, you know. And I think that trust is what made G2 be the team that they were. And Westrice was saying that they can play any style and they can do anything, but actually I disagree. You know, they could theoretically, or they gave the impression that they could, but they were not the best at all of the styles. They just trusted each other so much that they were capable of playing them. And I think that's what was the transcending thing for that team. And that's sort of the culture that was created then. So, sort of what I believe in, you know? So, yeah.
I mean, I would love to know more about the timeline of how everything transpired. Did you end up? Were you fully aware of the fact that Perkz was going to be joining C9 when you decided to join, or were you kind of like the second piece in the puzzle that fell in?
I'd say I was the second piece, I would say. I had my, like, I think it's like it's been an ongoing talk with C9. So, but this year in specifically, so I've been talking to C9 for the past 3 years, I'd say, and I think this year specifically, I was the second piece in the puzzle, but it just happened to be that way, yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I guess the last question that I'd ask you here, Mithy, is how does it feel to be joining a team but not have like the pressure of being a head coach? I know on Fnatic, like that was your role. You know, you're the guy that's on stage and everyone's looking to all the time. Is it like nice in a way, or do you feel like it's comfortable to be in like the strategic coach position where there's a lot of people working around you and you can kind of just focus on what you need to do instead of like the optics that are involved with being a head coach? Or does it not really make any difference to you whether you're labeled as head coach, strategic coach, whatever it is?
I think these are different questions. So I really don't mind whether I'm on the spotlight or not, or um, whether like the pressure is on or it's not. I think these are things that I've been able to cope with after like I don't even know how many years, 7, 8 years of playing the game and just being around. So I don't think that's an issue, and I don't really mind what my role is in the team. I like, I just want the team to be the best they can be, and I'm here to help in whatever way I can and whatever my experience can. And I think uh, I don't want to say I was alone in Fnatic because I had a lot of help behind the scenes from the other assistant coaches and generally from the staff too. But it was definitely something that I had to figure out along the way of how I wanted to do things while I was there and how I sort of wanted to structure my it was a lot of things that were new to me and that I needed time to figure out. And being now on a more of a secondary role probably helps me also be able to observe and watch. But my idea, I don't really mind the title that I'm taking. It's more about just being able to help Brain over in whatever way I can and just sort of trying to connect with him and with the other coaches to figure out the best, just making the team the strongest and the most solid that we can.
Yeah, awesome, good stuff. Let's go to Vagar next. Vagar V2, you I believe worked with Fnatic. I'm not sure if you worked with Mithy directly, but I believe you worked with Fnatic during spring of last year. There's rumors that you worked with TSM during their Worlds run. You obviously have experience. No one's ever like really doubted your knowledge about the game or anything. People have a view of you as being like kind of controversial. So were you surprised that you got such a great offer that you're able to work with like such a prestigious team and a bunch of really well respected coaches, or how do you feel about the situation in general being kind of thrown in here as a positional coach?
I mean, I'm of course super grateful. I did have other offers, of course, but yeah, I mean, Cloud9 is a great opportunity, so.
Yep. What do you think is going to be the main thing that you will bring to the organization here?
I think that I have other great people around me and that my specific role isn't really decided. I don't really think it is for any of us. I think that I am great at doing things like working with players individually and making sure that they're playing at the best that they can individually, and I will be helping with like macro things as well. And yeah, I mean, I think as the split goes, we will all figure out our roles individually as well, because I think we are all smart at different areas and nothing like specific,
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would love to get Rainover's take here on this situation in general, because the issue you might run into, or people might speculate with the coaching staff, is you have a lot of people that have strong opinions and a lot of coaches that have a lot of like respect or influence in their own way. So how do you get everyone together? Mithy, Max Waldo, Vigar V2, Westrice, Tails. How do you get all these guys to be working together towards a common goal? How are you going to like manage having so many coaches that have so many differing opinions potentially?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, I agree that those problems might happen, but just as a coaching staff, we just have to be very close together and just talk very often about our thoughts. Just we're gonna pretty much like watch same VODs. We're gonna hear the players in a same time. So basically, just talking each other a lot. And if someone has different idea, then we just have to discuss. And by discussing different ideas, obviously we're gonna improve, and we're gonna have new ideas. So that's like a thing. And about like the roles, the reason why we don't really have like specific role is because just at the beginning, I believe it's just good or better to just everyone just doing whatever they want to do, whatever they're good at, so we can like pretty much like observe each other and see if we can like help each other or learn each other. And in the future, maybe we set a goal if we need it. But right now, we're pretty much just here to just do whatever we think it's right. We will have to discuss about it, but just aiming for the same goal, just making team better, improving the team. Yeah.
Yep, and I guess that's a great way to go about it, right? Collaborative effort between all you guys. I can't imagine how so many great League of Legends minds couldn't come up with something spectacular with, the right tools. I saw Vagar wanted to say something here, so go for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, in the end, we all want to win, and we all want the team to be as good as they can be, right? When we have great players, so as long as, like Rainover said, we just stick together and we're all honest with each other, we will quickly find out who is better at what, and yeah, in the end as well, Rainover will have the final say, and coaches, just like players, like some players are more vocal than others, right? So it takes some time for players to get good together, and it will be the same for coaches.
So the last person we got to talk to here is Tails, who is going to be the amateur team head coach, and I know we got an announcement here for the amateur team. Can you talk to us a little bit about the amateur team that you will be coaching, the players, and like what the goals are? I mean, obviously it's to get into proving grounds and win, but ways you're going to achieve that.
Yeah, so I'd first like to kind of talk about my own coaching philosophy. Um, I'd like to focus on both out of game and in game. When I was a player, obviously never made it into the big leagues like the LCS, and that came with a lot of lessons learned. And I recognize that out of game habits are extremely important because they kind of build the foundation for the players. So I'm very big on mastery focused and as well as physical and mental wellness. And in terms of in game, like I really want to make sure that the players understand that because it's a team game, everyone's perspective in the game matters, right? It's five POVs working together, and so I want to use like these ideas that I build my coaching off of, and really help the C9 amateur team grow and improve, and hopefully they become like real solid professionals, instead of just players that will reach academy and then be cycled throughout and then not have a lasting impression.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the players that will be on this amateur team?
Yeah, so I picked up two players that I coached at Harrisburg University, Speedo, the top laner, and Wixie, the AD carry. Both have hit around 800 and 1,000 LP, and when I worked with them, I felt they were very serious and passionate about improving, as well as they were good team players, willing to pull their weight if they were on a carry champion, or play for the team if they played a more supportive role. For jungle, we got XU. So he is part of the C9 training grounds. He was helping part of that, and he's also very good. He plays Lee Sin in Italy, and I feel like any young player who is willing to play those champions have a lot of potential. And like in the LPL, they like any young jungler who plays Lee Sin in Italy, they get a shot. So it's definitely exciting to see a native NA jungler be able to play those champions and be willing to play carries, and especially in this meta where junglers are the the carries. It's very exciting to work with a player like that. For mid, we got Captain Shrimps. I was shadowing Westrice in its scouting grounds, and we were working with Captain Shrimps, and we really felt like throughout the week he improved, and he has a really good work ethic, as well as a large champion pool and a unique perspective on the game. And we felt that an amateur team could use a leader, and he's a bit he's a bit older than some of the other players on the team, but I feel like a mid laner who's vocal and can step up as a leader is very important, and so we decided to go with him. Um, and lastly, we picked up Tempos. Me and West discussed a lot about the NA support talent. There's some things that are lacking there, but we were watching some of the Golden Guardians in houses, and Tempos had really good comms and played really solid. And we felt like, especially that he's a really big grinder, like he plays like 2,000, 3,000 solo queue games a year. We felt like we could really help him and help him grow and become a real native support player and a talent.
Yeah, sounds good. The other question for you and Westrice would be that both of your teams are going to be in this new Riot system where the academy teams will be put in a tournament with the amateur teams, the best performing amateur teams, to potentially play against each other in the Proving Grounds tournament. So how do you guys work together as coaches to be collaborative, but then at the same time you guys are potentially going to have to compete for a common goal?
Yeah, so like this whole this new system really is just very exciting to me because you're not locked into playing, 9 of the teams or only scrimming, 2 other academy teams like we were kind of doing in the past. Now it's just like a much bigger ecosystem, and whenever you're playing against a different team, sometimes you might not be able to know who you're going against because there's just so many more teams now, and it's just really exciting. I think it just provides just so much more opportunity for like everyone else, and honestly, just the idea of C9A probably matching up against a C9 amateur is also pretty exciting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the finals. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But that's just like that thought is just pretty funny and exciting at the same time.
So is there going to be the type of thing where if it happens, it happens, and you guys will be fully collaborative, or do you guys have to kind of stay in your own lanes in a way because you are competing against each other?
So like I do want to like separate like a little bit. Like I don't want to like tell Tails how to like coach his own team because I think Tails has a great coaching philosophy and I want him to follow that. And if like some player performs super well on the amateur team, like they're like shining really, they're like just like playing just very well in amateur. Eventually they're gonna get a shot at playing on the academy team. If we feel like trials are necessary, like if they're just like going above and beyond and they're showing it on top of like their schoolwork that they're probably doing, then they're gonna get their shot eventually. So it's just like providing them with goals and like something to work towards, and give them the motivation that they need to just reach greater heights. And that's the same thing that goes to my academy team as well. Eventually they'll put in so much work, they'll go above and beyond, and eventually they'll be LCS.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, I wish you guys the best of luck. I mean, hopefully we can get an all C9 Proving Grounds final. I think it would be great for the organization in general. But I mean, this looks like a great coaching staff. Obviously, there's a lot of hype around it. Could be potentially a great thing that we have here. So it's been a pleasure having this roundtable, being able to talk to all of you guys and get the information about all your roles and how you plan on making this entire thing work. So I just like to say thank you guys for joining me to talk about the coaching for C9 going into 2021, and we can look forward to seeing how that will play out on the Rift. So thank you guys for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe to the video.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.